much does it hurt the WNBA when Caitlin Clark is out?
It is devastating to the WNBA when Caitlin Clark.
Now, I know a lot of us were expecting some sort of dip since Caitlin Clark has been out with injury, but I don't think all of us were expecting the entire viewership of the entire WNBA to be down. And this tweet from Christine Brennan really stuck out to me. She said, one player gets injured and more than half the TV audience for the entire league disappears. Has any other athlete ever had that kind of impact on a sport? Golf without Tiger definitely dropped precipitously on.
Okay. This is wild. Without Caitlin Clark on the floor, the WNBA is stuck in a crushing financial slump, powerless to keep its own empire from crumbling. It's as if the league learned absolutely nothing about protecting the one player who single-handedly pulled them out of obscurity and into the spotlight. This is the jaw-dropping story of a league that keeps sabotaging itself while its brightest star is sidelined, and how that stubborn refusal to face reality is burning through millions with every single day that passes.
The WNBA's viewership dropped more than 50%. Not just the Fever, but the entire.
Look, facts are tough to pin down in this age of staged drama and social media outrage, especially when people hype sold-out WNBA games without Caitlin Clark. But the brutal truth about the league leaning on one star exploded the moment Clark was first sidelined on May 24th with a quad injury. Now she's out again, this time with a groin injury. And honestly, no one knows when she'll return. So here we are, watching a painful rerun of what played out just a few weeks earlier.
Injury jumped to her groin likely because of compensation. But the thing that you have to be careful of is if, say, you try to rush her back from this injury as well, then you're getting into this territory where a very serious injury can happen. That is what the Indiana Fever, that is what Caitlin need to avoid the best that they possibly can. So if it means that Caitlin is out for 3 weeks, if it means that she is out.
Let me break this down for you. Nationally televised WNBA viewership didn't just dip, it cratered, plummeting by a staggering 55%. The league went from averaging more than 1.8 million viewers with Caitlin Clark on the court, down to barely 847,000 without her. And it gets worse. Games featuring the Indiana Fever, Clark's own team, were hit with a jaw-dropping 53% decline. But here's where things cross from shocking to downright absurd. And by absurd, I mean dangerously catastrophic for a league that refuses to own up to its own colossal failure.
Went down. The WNBA ratings have dropped over 55% across the board.
Hey, guess what, guys?
The league is Caitlin Clark.
The league is Caitlin Clark. She is the WNBA, guys.
Sidelined with a left quad strain May 24th. National TV viewership has plunged since then. 55%. Before the injury, the Fever, her team, were averaging 1.81 million viewers, almost 2 million. Since her injury.
So, while Caitlin Clark was out there doing what she does best, packing arenas, shattering TV ratings, and piling up record-breaking revenue, the WNBA was busy doing what it seems to do best, absolutely nothing to protect its most valuable asset. Apparently, it's perfectly acceptable to let opponents relentlessly target a player responsible for 26.5% of all league economic activity, all while dismissing it as just basketball plays. What's truly fascinating, and by fascinating, I mean infuriating, is that we've seen this exact scenario unfold before, yet somehow the league refuses to learn. The WNBA has literally watched revenue and viewership collapse after its brightest star went down. It's like watching someone touch a hot stove, scorch their hand, and then instantly reach back again, insisting they never knew it was hot.
News is alarming for the league, and it's alarming for the league because this is such a crucial year for the WNBA. At the end of this season, the WNBA will go into CBA negotiations. If negotiations go well, then every single player in the WNBA has a much better chance of making so much more in their next contract. And that's one thing when you start thinking about how many people stopped watching when Caitlin Clark got injured. A lot of people stopped watching because they are boycotting the WNBA. They don't want to give viewership to any other teams or any other players, whether they like other players on the team or not, because of how the media and the league itself has handled Caitlin Clark and how they have treated.
And hey, if you're finding this mess as unbelievable as I am, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. The financial collapse, by the way, has landed fast and brutal. Fever ticket prices have nosedived by a staggering 71%, some dropping from $860 all the way down to $250. The average ticket price for every game Clark missed plummeted from $1,370 to just $80. A mind-blowing collapse that screams loud about who actually powers this league. Remember those games moved to bigger arenas just to satisfy insane demand for Clark? Now they are struggling to fill seats that would have been bursting if she played. Even one of the season's biggest showdowns, the Skya Fever rematch, saw prices tumble from $210 to only $95. That game once pulled in 2.25 million viewers, ranking among the most watched ever. Without Clark, though, it's just another matchup and casual fans simply don't care.
What's concerning about this is the fact that we are only a month into the regular season and Caitlin Clark has already been out with 2 injuries. With the first one being her having to miss some time with a left quad strain. Now, of course, this is concerning because if you're already on your second injury, you don't want to be that player that is always hurt. Cough, cough, Embiid, cough, cough, Anthony Davis. So I really do hope that the Fever really sits her out right now for a while, only because you don't want her to have more long-term injuries.
One of the loudest critics of the WNBA's pathetic handling of its brightest star is veteran writer Christine Brennan, whose upcoming book on Caitlin Clark and the revolution in women's sports promises to spill every ounce of tea on the league's epic failures. After yet another game where Clark was blatantly targeted, Brennan didn't hold back, declaring, "The WNBA continues to fail to meet the moment." This is exactly what fans are seeing as they watch in greater numbers than ever before. And Brennan's point cuts right where it hurts most. League figures show Clark alone delivers more than half of all television viewers. Yet despite that, they still let her take brutal fouls and cheap shots clearly designed to intimidate their most valuable attraction. It's like a restaurant owner allowing customers to harass the chef whose food is literally the only reason anyone bothers to show up at all.
Man, bruh. Congratulations to the WNBA. Your ratings are going to drop by 55 to 60% once again. I believe the WNBA have successfully broken Caitlin.
Honestly, the pattern is becoming frustratingly predictable. Opponents, more intent on making a statement than playing basketball, are relentlessly fouling Clark. Here's the kicker. 5 of the league's 30 egregious fouls against her happened just in 2024, with the Chicago Sky responsible for a staggering 80% of those flagrant calls. If she reacts, she's slammed for being overly combative. If she doesn't, she's branded soft. The league has created a no-win scenario and refuses to fix it. Meanwhile, the entire WNBA ecosystem, not just the Fever, is taking a huge financial hit. The league was already projected to lose $50 million this year. Despite the initial surge driven by Clark, those losses are now exploding as TV ratings collapse, merchandise sales stall, and attendance drops back to pre-Clark levels.
As big a deal as Tiger was in men's golf, Keith, he did, and when he was gone, it affected the ratings, but nothing like that. And, Michael Jordan being out, maybe a 5 percentage points or something. Nothing like this. You can make a strong case, and I will make that case, and have that there is no one single athlete more important to his or her sport or tour or whatever the circuit is that they play on than Caitlin Clark is to the depth.
But here's the most tragic part of this entire mess. It was completely avoidable. When Clark first stepped onto the court, she was a humble rookie, always praising teammates and deflecting attention from herself. At just 22, she displayed extraordinary grace and maturity while facing relentless criticism. The league had a golden chance to embrace her, protect her, and use her stardom to lift the entire game. Instead, petty politics and pure jealousy destroyed what should have been a massive celebration of women's basketball. And the impact of Clark's injury stretches far beyond ticket sales or TV ratings. Millions in corporate sponsorships are now reconsidering their investments as Clark-driven growth vanishes. This situation casts a harsh light on a major flaw in the WNBA's self-image. The league seems torn between chasing every social media-fueled drama and actually being recognized as a professional basketball business. Newsflash, you can't do both. Professional leagues protect stars and maintain competitive integrity. High school drama clubs stoke controversy hoping anyone will notice.
I don't even know where to begin, man. I hope Caitlin Clark is okay. I want to know when this injury even happened, bro, because let's be serious here. She has the quad injury. Mind you, Caitlin Clark hadn't missed a game since she was like 19 years old, since she was like 18 in college or something. Now she has a groin injury. We've never seen Caitlin Clark play as bad as she played the last 3 games. Let's just be serious here. She's like 1 for 20-something on threes in the last 3. We've never seen her shoot the ball this way. I'll say that.
The contrast with other professional leagues, as I've pointed out, is glaring and frankly embarrassing. Imagine if the NBA let players repeatedly target LeBron James with dirty tactics for months, all while claiming the game was just competitive. That league would shut it down immediately, suspending players faster than you could say flagrant foul. Yet the WNBA seems perfectly content letting this destructive trend continue. It's as if they believe any attention, even negative, is somehow good. Because of the toxic environment created by the league's failure to protect Clark, WNBA fans are now skipping other games, genuinely doubting that the sport is still competitive. And when your own supporters refuse to watch without your biggest star because they don't trust the officiating, you've got a credibility crisis that goes far beyond ratings and revenue.
I admire about Caitlin, she's a warrior. She's tough. You hear me? Bruh, you just don't see players, you don't see female basketball players like her. I'm sorry. I haven't seen a lot of female basketball players.
The WNBA has had countless chances to course correct, yet they consistently fail, which only amplifies the problem. Every single incident involving Clark should have been a glaring red flag for the league to establish clear rules for players' safety and fair play. Instead, we get the same tired answers about basketball plays and letting athletes play. Ironically, Clark's injury, the very thing the league should have been preventing, has given the clearest signal of her true value to the business. A 55% drop in viewership, that's not minor. Yet, despite this overwhelming evidence, there's little indication the WNBA has internalized the lesson. Officials keep invoking competitive balance and letting players be physical as if cheap shots are somehow integral. They continue to ignore genuinely dangerous fouls on Clark while treating normal plays involving her as if they're crises needing correction.
No, I believe the physicality and all this hacking and fouling that goes on, she getting blindsided by Marina Mabry. I think all of this stuff is having a wear and tear and an impact. And all you guys are doing are hurting yourselves, because the numbers are going to drop and drop and drop. And trust me, when it's time for that collective bargaining agreement, they are going to point to this and say, well, how can we give you guys all this money? What happens if...
Look, there's no complicated solution here. The WNBA has to make some hard decisions about what kind of league it truly wants to be. If they aim to be recognized as a professional basketball organization, they must start acting like one. Crystal clear rules on player safety need to be established and enforced every single time. The game itself must no longer be buried beneath manufactured controversies. And most importantly, they have to finally recognize that their top performers, especially those who fill arenas and drive TV ratings, deserve protection from the kind of targeting and trolling that only fuels social media chaos. The WNBA's ongoing slump in revenue, attendance, and viewership after Clark's absence is a sobering reminder of the league before she arrived and what it will inevitably return to if they don't change course. Without Clark, average viewership this season sank to a pitiful 555,000, lower than last year's 670,000. These aren't just numbers. They mark a full regression to the pre-Clark era of empty arenas and games that only the most devoted fans even bothered to watch.
Because of the way they play the game, because I love the WNBA, I love the way they play the game. But we really watch it because Caitlin Clark and everybody watching. Now listen, if I keep bumping her, knocking her down, might get a concussion, you might hurt her for real. For 2 weeks, she was done with like a hamstring. She was down. 55% of the viewership was down. She comes back the next game, it's about 3 million viewers. Now let me tell you something. Growing up in the hood, they teach you this. Always protect the money. Y'all keep hurting her and all that. She's going for a year or two. Ain't nobody gonna watch it. If nobody watches, how y'all gonna make and generate money?
And the most tragic part of this entire disaster is that it never had to happen. The WNBA could have used Clark's enormous popularity to create a rock-solid foundation for long-term growth. If their star had been properly protected and promoted, instead they've constructed a house of cards that collapses the moment their biggest draw steps off the court. The league will keep cycling through these boom and bust periods where one player's presence or absence decides whether anyone even bothers to watch, until they finally learn to safeguard and genuinely promote the athletes who actually drive real interest. So the pressing question remains, will the WNBA ever figure out how to protect its crown jewel? Or will they continue this destructive pattern, squandering every opportunity Clark's fame has handed them? Based on everything we've seen, it honestly doesn't look like the league is suddenly getting any smarter.